Yesterday, the president said he would know more today about what he would do in response to Russian ransomware attacks on U.S. entities. What does he plan on doing?
Well, first, Ika, I think what he intended to convey is that he's continuing to be updated by his team on a regular and near daily basis. And certainly when they have new information to provide, they provide that to him. So we are continuing to gather details on if this incident occurred with the knowledge or approval of the Russian government. That's what we're really digging into at this point in time. And while the intelligence community has not yet attributed the attack, and we still don't have new information on the attribution as of today, the cyber community, security community agrees that the criminal group, our evil, that we've talked about a bit in here, operates out of Russia with affiliates around the world. We've been in touch at a high level, as you all know, with high-level Russian authorities, and counterparts, I should say, regarding this incident, and we've continued to send a clear message. If the Russian government cannot or will not act against criminal actors residing in Russia, we will act. In terms of what we will do, I'm not in a position, of course, to discuss operations. That's not in our interest to preview those, but the president sent a clear message to President Putin. We're continuing to send that clear message in our engagements as well.
On Afghanistan, on the SIV process.
Go ahead.
Question on something you briefly mentioned yesterday. Yeah. The president said he would deliver a message to Putin, which he already did last month. So when he said that yesterday, did he mean he has a new message for Putin? And under what circumstances will he deliver that?
I think in the context of the Q&A, he meant, I'm not going to provide to you an update of the briefing I just received.
He said he had a message to deliver.
But that was the context of how he answered that question. Go ahead. Go ahead, Jackie.
Thanks. Thanks, Jen. On ransomware, in terms of the Casilla hack, does the administration consider this to be an escalation, given that it didn't attack one entity but hundreds of entities? And does the U.S. consider it to be critical infrastructure in any way, given how it hampered transactions for grocery stores and that kind of thing?
Sure. Well, first I would say critical infrastructure, broadly speaking, would perhaps take out an entire economic sector in the country. But that doesn't mean we don't take every cyber attack, every ransom attack incredibly seriously. And as it relates to the impact here, or how we're evaluating it, I should say, there has been an escalation of ransomware attacks over the course of the last several years. It's been a growing and escalating problem that even predates President Biden. And it's not just the United States, it's something that's happening around the world. So we know it's not going to be turned off with a light switch. It's not an up and down. We know that this needs to be ongoing engagement. We'll have to assess over 6 months and 12 months what our success looks like. So that's how we're looking at our impact as it relates to the cyber threats.
And then in the conversation with Russia about enforcing this red line that the president drew at the summit, what concrete asks have we made of Russia in terms of cracking down on actors that are within that state and clearly are attacking our companies here? Sure.
I would say the president hasn't minced words, and should he speak with President Putin again, to Isha's question, he will convey the same message, which is if you do not take action to crack down on criminal actors in your country, even if the government didn't know, we will. We reserve that option too, and that continues to be his clear message.
Is there a timeline though on that? Have we given Russia, 2 weeks to do something?
I'm not going to preview that for you all.
And then I want to go to
on our evil quickly. You mentioned that it's now the assessment of the administration that they were responsible and that part of their criminal enterprise is working outside of Russia. You mentioned that the U.S. is in touch with high-level Russian entities. Is there also outreach to specific locations where our cyber resources know their actors are at work? Is that happening as well?
Well, I use that context because I think it's important for people to understand that even though the cybersecurity community has assessed it was our evil, we know they operate in different parts of the world. So even as we're directing and we're having a conversation largely about Russia's knowledge, we as we assess and before we make an official assessment by the United States government, we look at that. But certainly as concerns arise, we'd certainly be in touch with countries as relevant, of course. Yeah.
Can you
go ahead?
Thanks.